Hey everybody, my name is SPAZ and I'm a CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm going to be discussing a Norwegian trio by the name of Aha, or Aha, or Aha. However you want to pronounce it, perfectly fine. All I want to do is encourage you to listen. Paul, Mags, and Morten, they've been together, 35, 36 years now. And, of course, many of you only know them by the song Take On Me and maybe The Sun Always Shines on TV. But just let me tell you, the rest of the catalog doesn't sound exactly like those songs, but the rest of the catalog is just as good. But let's start with the first album. Hunting High and Low came out in 1985. This is the album that features Take On Me, The Sun Always Shines on TV, Love Is Reason, Train of Thought, and of course the title track, Hunting High and Low. This is the 2 CD deluxe edition. And look at how many bonus tracks. There's remixes. There's a lot of demos on here, previously unreleased songs. So you can hear the embryonic sound of young Aha as they mined their talents and really found their own sound. So disc 2 here is chock full of great unreleased tracks. There's actually a 4 CD plus DVD version of this that came out in book form, and they've just reissued the 4 CDs in a special Super Deluxe 4-pack without the DVD. That one is still in print, so you can get that. But Hunting High and Low, fantastic album. Great electronic pop. They were doing a lot of different things on this album. They were trying new things. There's the upbeat things like, Take On Me, but then there's more moody and pretty and cinematic material on here that is just as melodic but very different, and that definitely needs to be heard if you haven't heard the whole album already. Second album, Scoundrel Days, came out in 1986. Yet another fine album. In fact, I'm not saying that this is their best album, but I am saying that this is my favorite. Most bands, when they have a major hit, they would just try to rewrite that hit. And on the second album is just full of songs that sound like their big hit from the first album. Well, not Aha. They actually went through and they followed their own musical path. And this album is a little darker than Hunting High and Low, but it's still just as fantastic. A lot of great singles came from this album, including I've Been Losing You, Cry Wolf, Manhattan Skylines, lots of great songs on the Swing of Things. The second disc here features a bunch of demos. It's kind of like listening to an alternate version of the album, and so it's really cool to go through that. So that was 1986, Scoundrel Days, my favorite Aha album. Next up, 1988 comes Stay on These Roads. This has their theme to the James Bond movie Living Daylights, but this is a different version. This is a version recorded for the album. The version that was recorded for the film is featured on some of their compilations. I'll get to that at the end of this video, by the way. But it's an alternate version of the Living Daylights. Very similar. This also has the title track, which is just gorgeous. There's also The Blood That Moves the Body, Touchy, You Are the One, There's Never a Forever Thing. And again, the bonus disc features kind of demos of the album plus more. So that's definitely worth your while. That's the deluxe edition of Stay on These Roads, 1988. East of the Sun, West of the Moon came out in 1990. And again, this is the deluxe edition. Just look at that, just jam-packed full of great material. It even features a DVD. But this was an album that kind of mixed the styles of the other albums and it explored different sounds. Like they do a pretty faithful version of the Everly Brothers' Crying in the Rain, which you wouldn't expect from a Norwegian band that's known more for being electronic. You see, that's the thing. They may be an electronica band, but they're certainly not a synth pop band. I mean, their sounds are lush and beautiful and cinematic. Some of it's very moody, and they can get dark, but not goth-like dark. This has a few of my favorites. I mean, Early Morning's great. I Call Your Name, but my ultimate favorite off this album is a song called Waiting for Her. That should have been a single. It would have been a hit for sure. East of the Sun, West of the Moon, 1990. 3 years later, out comes Memorial Beach. Now, this is, as you can maybe tell with the cover, it's definitely a darker album. A lot more downbeat than their previous albums. Again, when I say darker, it's not goth, but it's not upbeat and joyful, although the music is very touching and moving. And again, the bonus disc contains demo versions. There's also extended versions on there, and they really load the bonus discs up with a lot of stuff. I never bought the Aha singles when they were coming out. I was only buying the albums. So I don't know how many B-sides the band had. So there may be a few B-sides missing. I'm not sure. But I'm sure some of you will let me know. This was actually the last album, and they just sort of quietly went away. I don't remember reading too much about a split. And they didn't return for 7 years when Minor Earth, Major Sky came out. And this came out in the year 2000. Summer Moved On was a big single off of this. There's the title track. Velvet is just absolutely fantastic and dramatic and gorgeous and wonderful and beautiful and all of that. The Sun Never Shone That Day. I Wish I Cared. Great material. Great return to form. It sticks to the same sort of moody, lush, beautiful cinematic sound, but it's not dark anymore. That was probably just the mood they were in with that album. But this, again, bonus remixes and a bonus disc with demos, and there's also live stuff on these bonus editions as well. But that's definitely one to check out. 2 years later, out comes the album Lifelines, and again, great collection of tracks. I've already said moody and gorgeous and wonderful and melodic. But this has, Forever Not Yours. Lifelines is wonderful. Did Anyone Approach You? A lot of great songs on this. And again, filled with bonus tracks. You can listen to an alternate demo version of the album and demos and remixes and all that fun stuff. So definitely Lifelines. That was 2002. 2005 gave us the album Analog. And again, that features some great tracks. Salice, Birthright, Analog, the title track, All I Want, Cozy Prisons. Yet another fine example of a band still creating wonderful, haunting, and fantastic music. Then in 2009 came Foot of the Mountain. Like I said, these guys will never let you down. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for Take On Me, you're not going to find them rewriting it with every album. They grow just as other humans do. They mature. They move in different directions. And this is yet another great album, full of great songs. Foot of the Mountain is fantastic. That's a fine album. Then they broke up or disappeared, whatever you want to call it, again. And it wasn't until 2015 that the album Cast and Steel was released. And this features Under the Makeup, The Wake, of course the title track, Objects in the Mirror. And there's a great song on this album called Forest Fire. So any of you who are looking for anything remotely like Take On Me, Forest Fire has the same type of rhythm. It's upbeat, but it's a very different song. And it shows you how their songwriting has advanced. And this is actually a bonus disc version. It has a bonus disc with some cool little rarities on there. And that's it with their studio releases. They are currently touring and celebrating the 35th anniversary of the song Take On Me. I'm only focusing on their studio releases. They've had live albums, they've had compilations, and all of them have worked on various projects. I have some Morton Harkett solo albums. Right there. But we're not going to talk about those. Paul has a project called Savoy with his wife. One of these days I will be able to purchase those and add them to my collection. But there's one thing I wanted to show you and talk about is out of all the compilations, I think this is the one that is my favorite. And this came out during the 25th anniversary of Aha. So it's called Aha 25. And this is the 2 CD version with a DVD. Now, the interesting thing is there are non-album A-sides, like The Living Daylights, the movie version, the version that you all know. There's also a song called Move to Memphis that they had. That was the new song on their Headlines and Deadlines album. They did re-record it for the next album, but this is the original version of that. Shapes That Go Together is one of my favorite Aha songs. It was only a single, never on any album. And also Butterfly, Butterfly, The Last Hurrah, which was a single that was supposed to be their last single when they broke up the last time. And I highly recommend you check it out. It's not just this percolating synth pop that you're expecting. There's so much depth, so much emotion, beauty, and warmth in their music, and you should really check them out. But that's it. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it very much. My name is SPAZ, and I'm a CD Junkie.